This is Mr. Arnold. I'm going to talk with you about word problems involving proportions. Let's look at the first example up at the top of the page. Suppose 38 pounds of coffee beans are required to produce 2 pounds of farmer's coffee. How many pounds of coffee beans are required to produce 485 pounds of farmer's coffee? So, to set up a proportion, our first fraction would be 38 pounds, and we'll just label it beans, over 2 pounds, and we'll just label that farmer. Now, if you use a proportion, both fractions must contain the same ratio or rate in the same order. So the second fraction needs to be beans to the amount of farmer's coffee. Now, the 485 would go in the second denominator. And then we'll let n represent the pounds of coffee beans that we're looking for. Now the next step, cross multiply. So we have 2n equal to 485 times 38. And when we multiply that out, we end up with 18,430 on that side. Now to solve for n, we need to divide both sides by 2. And let's divide off to the side here. Dividing carefully as we go. Okay, so our final answer is 9,215 pounds of coffee beans would be required. Alright, let's look at the next example. There are approximately 2 pounds of muscle for every 7 pounds of body weight of a certain animal. For a 161 pound animal, how much of the weight is muscle? Once again, use a proportion to set this up. So our first fraction will be 2 pounds. Muscle over 7 pounds. And we'll just label that part animal. Now remember, the second fraction must have the same rate in the same order. Muscle to animal. Where would the 161 pound number go? Right, it would go in the second denominator. And we can use X or any letter to represent the unknown. Now you have everything set up, so the next step again is cross multiply. So we have 7x equal to 161 times 2. which will give us 322 on that side. Now the last step, of course, is to divide both sides, in this case by 7. And let's move over here to divide. So therefore, for a 161-pound animal, the amount of weight that's muscle is 46 pounds. Now let's look at the last problem. A car travels 704 kilometers in 14 days. At this rate, how far would it travel in 42 days? So once again, using a proportion would really help us. The first fraction is 704 kilometers over 14 days. So the second fraction needs to be also kilometers to days. "42" would go in the second denominator. And we can let n represent the unknown. Now at this point we can cross multiply. So we have 14n equal to 704 times 42. Alright, so let's just multiply this out. So on that side we get 29,568. Now the last step, of course, is divide both sides, in this case by 14. Alright, so let's move over here and divide. Again, take your time, divide carefully. Alright, so we got our final answer. In 42 days, this car would travel 2,112 kilometers. Okay, so here are 3 examples that should help you solve any proportion problem. Next up, we will talk about conversions that may include proportions. Thank you.